You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, the end is near.
Well, we got another rockin' awesome Saturday night. Boy, I will tell you what, the Watchtower is falling big time. Well, here we go again. I'm here Saturday night. We've been doing it for 16 years. I'm not going to stop now. We're moving in the right direction, but man, I am telling you, it's getting really good. Us apostates are doing a good job. We really, really are. We are getting the attention of governments. We are getting the attention of television programs, radio programs, newspapers. Hey, we're doing a good job. All of us collectively together, we're making a big difference. So I want to put a shout out to all the activists, all of those that are spreading the word about what the Watchtower really is. Nothing more than a dangerous and a destructive cult. Well, anyways, my name is Rick Farron. I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts, otherwise known as the hub of the universe. And I have to say, I really believe it's up here in the Northeast, perhaps even Boston or New York, that the great mass exodus of Jehovah's Witnesses began. This is basically the area, northeastern quadrant of the United States where these cults got going. Charles Taze Russell, Pennsylvania, then Brooklyn, Mary Baker Eddy, Boston, Joseph Smith with the Mormons up in Vermont. So, a lot of cults, they got their start up here. They really, really did. And all the religious charlatans, they came out around the turn of the century, including Russell, and pulled the wool over people's eyes. But now this is one of the first places that this mass exodus of Jehovah's Witnesses, well, it's taking place right here. We got a lot of apostates. I'm in good company here. I tell you that every week, but I don't want you to worry. I don't want you to think, oh, Rick, what about me? I'm in the Midwest. I'm down south. I'm over in Europe. I'm over in Asia. What about me? What's going to happen to me? Am I going to get some apostates? Don't you worry. You're going to get a lot of apostates very soon. We are watching the Watchtower crumble. Isn't that good? Now, don't you love the sound of that? I'm going to tell you, what is the fetish? Well, what really is what's the drawing card? Why do all of us activists, and you guys that are listening, and I consider you activists too, why is it we can't get enough of this organization? And, I try to come up with answers. I have a hard time finding out why. Am I obsessed? Is this some type of a mental illness? No, it's not. It's not. It's this. If you have been really hurt, and so many out there have been, including me with relatives. Well, I got 50 relatives and friends, or 50 relatives alone that will not speak with me. Plus, I've got a ton of friends that won't speak with me. But I'm not alone. You guys all experience that as well. But the point I wanted to make is, what is the obsession? Why can't we get enough of this? Because you know something? When we see karma, if you want to call it that, but when we see all of a sudden the world is turning on the Watchtower, that makes us happy, doesn't it? Because we know how the Watchtower made many of our lives be turned upside down. And there's people listening in here tonight, they're probably in tears. We're reading about so many people. I don't know if you caught this or not. So many people being disfellowshipped lately. I mean, hundreds, thousands. And, they're not really given the reason. Obviously, they can't. But it's for apostasy. Yeah. People are waking up and they're smelling the coffee. So I'm glad to see it. You're glad to see it. But I'm glad also to give you the news, because what we do here tonight is we give you the news that nobody else wants to talk about for the most part. I mean, we have, on YouTube, we got some really good people giving news as of late. But I'm saying the Watchtower doesn't want to tell you their real news, do they? You're not going to read it on jw.org. You're going to get in there and read all these fluff and puff news articles. You're going to read on, how great they're doing now the Kingdom Halls have opened. You're going to read about, how the assemblies and the conventions are going to be wonderful this summer. That's all you're hearing about. But you're not hearing about all the critical news. So that's what we do here. We give you the news the Watchtower doesn't want you to talk about. And we're glad to do it. I love this job. I really do. This job really, I don't know what it does, but it gives me like an adrenaline rush. Every Saturday night, I feel pumped up. I feel really good because, yes.
Oh, hey, Rick, it's Braden. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Braden.
That's good. I just want to quickly just touch on what you just were talking about a few minutes, like a minute or two ago about, why are we, how, like you were mentioning, why am I still obsessed with the Watchtower, or why are we still obsessed with the Watchtower? I think the reason why, Rick, is that when we see that when we know personally from experience and what we've gone through, and you see others who are slowly being lured into that grip of, being sucked into getting studied with, for example, it's kind of like, obviously, how do you put it? Obviously, that now that you know the truth about the truth, it feels like almost like an obligation, I guess you could say, to warn others. That's maybe the best way I could put it.
Well, no, that's a good way to put it, because I believe that's one of the reasons why we do it. It's right. The word obligation, we can use obligation. We feel obliged. We feel obligated to be able to speak up and tell other people. Now, the Watchtower always used a similar illustration. They always said, now, listen, if you're in a building and you're looking out your window and the building or the house out your window is catching on fire, you'd run over there and get the people out of the house, right? You just do that as a human reaction. Yeah. So that's what we're doing. We're seeing these people. What we're trying to do, Braden, I know you're trying to do it too, as well as all the people listening in here tonight. What we're really trying to do is stop people from getting into this terrible organization. We're getting some out, but we want to stop them from coming in. Yes.
Yes, for sure. Okay. Yeah, and just to touch on that, like I said, we know what we've dealt with, and I guess you could say when you see somebody, being pulled in, knowing what we already came out of, the conditional love, the conditional friendships, and all the lies in between. And it's part of us that when we've gone through something like that, to try to get them the hell out of there, pull their arm out. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, not rip their arm off, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, that's good. And hey, it's working. It's working. I'm going to tell you, the apostates, so the activists, call them what you want, they're really making a difference, Braden. They're getting a lot of people out. Even now, we were down at the Kingdom Hall on Memorial Night, and we were live on YouTube. Oh, did you watch it? Yeah. So we were on YouTube and what have you. And I'm getting messages coming in now. So this is the good news. I want to give people, people say, oh, Rick, don't protest. Don't dare protest. That feeds into the persecution complex. The witnesses are going to feel like they're being persecuted. Baloney on that.
They already got the.
Yeah.
If we're already this fellowship, they've already got the persecution complex going on. So.
Well, yeah. So, anyways, Braden, I had a person email me, or I actually made a comment and wrote to me, and they said that they saw the signs at the Kingdom Hall, and they're now leaving the Watchtower. Yeah. So that was good news, right?
More and more.
Yeah, they saw the signs. So, people are coming out for a number of reasons, whether they're seeing signs at a protest, or whether you guys are writing online and Reddit, cyber activists, however you want to do it. As long as we're exposing the Watchtower, it's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, good man.
It's great to hear from you again, Rick, and I look forward to the rest of the show. And I might call in later.
Oh, yeah.
But who knows?
Well, check in later with us. Thank you, Braden.
All right. Bye,
yeah, that's Braden. He's up there in Toronto, Canada. But let me tell you something. Another thing, too. Hey, listen, I see things are working. I see all these people, they get into YouTube and they get in, they listen to all the activists in there, and they're all doing a great job, really. And it's all helping getting people out. And that's what we want. We want to all be allies together. We want to work together. We're an army together. Now, here's another good news. Here's the good news. Now, I'm a Christian man. I don't, hesitate, but I don't preach to you. I don't preach to you on Saturday night. You know that. But now we had the memorial last Friday night, a week or so ago, remember? And I was there, and my friend Norman Leroux was there. And we partook. Now, if you wanted to watch, you did. We had a bunch of people watching. So Norman and I, we partook right out there in front of the Kingdom Hall in the back of our van. Now, a person wrote me. Now, this made me sad, but I want you to know this really touched me. I mean, this speaks volumes. A person wrote me. I don't know if it was a man or a woman. I'm not sure. But, Norman and I partook the wine, and we didn't have wine. We were in the van, but we had grape juice. Normally, I would have had wine, though. But I had grape juice and the bread, the matzo bread, the flat bread. So we had that, and I was mentioning to the people they could partake with us if they wanted. And a person wrote in, because I told them if you don't have wine or grape juice or crackers, you can use anything. You could use milk. You could use water. You could use a little piece of bread, a little piece of cracker, anything. It's really what it means. It doesn't have to be so fussy like the Watchtower has you believe. They got to get this unadulterated wine and this unleavened bread. And they make such a big deal out of that they lose the whole idea of why they're partaking in the first place. But anyways, a person wrote me and said, Mr. Farron, I'm very poor and I wanted to partake, but I didn't have any money to buy wine or grape juice. And all I had was water. But where you said we could take some water, she says, I partook with you. Now, does that speak volumes or what? Does that woman is very deserving, and she knew the importance of partaking, but let that one go. But I thought that was fascinating. But I want you to know that people are watching, and there's people watching all of these YouTubes, and they're watching all the activists, and man, the Watchtower's got to be concerned about this. They got to be going crazy. You put one apostate out, and then another one shows up. They're like cockroaches, right? They keep coming out. They're coming out of the woodwork. Well, let's get into it. Let's get into it. In fact, if someone wants to make a comment, go ahead before we get into the news here. Go ahead, make a comment if you like. Yes.
Just a quick thought.
Yes.
Just a quick thought. I really missed protesting last Friday because I'm down here in the Carolinas. But I want people to know that every time that I protested for all those years, I got a lot of joy out of it because you're saving lives. Just as if you pull somebody out of a flaming car wreck and you saved your life, you feel awful good about yourself. And I had a question for you, Rick. I know the Watchtower calls you evil slave. I was wondering what I could do to become an evil slave. I'm just an apostate.
Well,
How can I graduate?
well, actually, it's a real unique position. I didn't want to become an evil slave, but I'll gladly wear the badge. But what it is, an evil slave, first of all, would have to be an anointed apostate, one who was partaking in the organization and was counted, which I was, and then they leave. Now they become an evil slave, and the Watchtower says they are beating their fellow slave. So you would have had to been anointed, Dick, but take the
I'm too.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't make that grade there. I was never anointed.
Well, it's not really.
Even been a,
it's not
even been a ministerial servant.
Yeah, well, it's not even. I'll tell you what. It's not even ranking per se, but see the whole the nucleus. The nucleus is the faithful and discreet slave. Everything revolves around the faithful and discreet slave. So for a slave member, which I was, a member of the faithful and discreet slave, it's not that way now. That changed. I believe it was in 2016, I believe. But before 2016, 2015, if you were an anointed one anywhere in the world, you were a member of the faithful and discreet slave. That's not the case anymore. The only ones that are really members of the faithful and discreet slave, and it's been promulgated and pushed many times in the Watchtower lately, is the governing body. They're the ones. But thank you, Dick. I would love to have you as my brother as an evil slave member. I would have loved that. we could have a great time together. Thank you. All right, you're on with us. I think we got one more call. You want to say hello to us? Go ahead. You're on with us.
Yes, hi, Rick. It's Constance.
Oh, it is Constance. I thought it was you. I saw California around there. I thought it was you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's me. Hey, Rick, I was going to say, wow, just demonstrating that you did, for the Memorial Night, I think it's so powerful that it really moved people to really wake up about this organization, Rick. I mean, that in itself, honey, would have made my whole night. I would have been doing the happy dance just on that alone, had I been out there. But, Rick, I wanted to say maybe some of us perhaps can plan something to meet up with you next year out there in Massachusetts. I mean, I would have really loved to have been able to join you this time, but, my work schedule didn't allow it. But if I know in advance, I can certainly book the flight, and I would love that. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to be a part of all of it, Rick. I think it would be great because, there's a lot of power in numbers. I've always said that, you might be one or two people and thinking, I don't really make that much of a difference. But when you come together collectively, oh boy, there's a lot of power in numbers. So, Rick, thank you so much for sharing all that with us today.
Well, I'll tell you, Constance, we had, if you remember, you were going to come to the 2020 Boots on Your Ground protest up in Warwick.
Oh, yeah.
We had it all planned.
Yeah.
We had, it looked like 300 people were coming. It did. And I had the hotel all booked. Right. I had like an auditorium we were renting, and we were going to have the 300 people come. We had people coming in from Australia and United Kingdom, and a bunch of people were going to join together and travel together and be here. And from what I remember, we had close to 300 people that were saying they'd love to come and do it. Now, maybe they all wouldn't have shown up, but I think we could at least got 100, But anyways, I was thinking that now that COVID killed the whole thing, it really did. You couldn't, get together. The hotel we had booked, they closed it down. I mean, everything just went down the drain because of COVID. But now it seems to be dying down. I don't know if it's going to come back again, but it seems to be dying down. So maybe we'll pull another Boots on the Ground. Maybe next year even we could try it. I would love that. That would be my goal, is to get at least, if we could get 100 people, 300 would be good, but I don't think we'd get that. But if we could get 100 people, that would be magnificent. Geez, that'd be great. So
that'd be awesome. And, honey, and then you could live stream it for people who couldn't be there, at least they'd be there going through Zoom. And, Rick, I'm telling you, this is powerful. The technology we have today is really powerful. And I just love it. You're making such a big difference, Rick. And, we'll all have our own little baby steps to be a part of it. And wouldn't it be wonderful? We could all meet each other in person too. I think that would be a dream come true. That's something I would really love to do.
Well,
So,
I'll tell you what.
thank you for, leading the parade, honey.
Well, it's fun.
Thank you for leading the parade with all this, Rick.
It's fun doing it. I'm having fun when I'm not having fun, but I'm having fun. So that's.
Oh, gosh. I can only imagine, Rick, what those elders thought. I mean, for people listening, honey, I got to tell you, you got guts, Rick. I mean, it's one thing to get out there and, to demonstrate or protest is the word you use. Maybe a Kingdom Hall that you never went to. Rick, you're going back right to your old stomping grounds. This is the Kingdom Hall you were associated with for probably 50 years. I don't know, but I mean, they know you inside and out, Rick. And I tell you, they probably thought, oh boy, here he is. He's here again. It's the Memorial Night.
Well, they're getting used to me, and even the witnesses are getting used to me. It's like a staple, there he is. It's here again. But they know him.
That's right.
You know what's crazy though, Constance? That hall is the perfect hall to protest. There's only one road in. It's one way in and one way out. That's it. So you got to go by us. And then there's an area. It's like a cutout. There's an old bridge. They tore the bridge down, but there's like an old road that went there. And we can park on that road next to the hall. You would think that the brothers would take and park a couple of cars there. We've only been doing this for like 15 years. You think they would park a couple of cars so we wouldn't be able to do it. But they don't do it. I just don't know why. And they come down the street. And now this time, I'm telling you, I'm noticing a difference. This is not like protesting 15 years ago. This is a different breed of witnesses. These witnesses are PMOs. Many of them are PMOs. Many of them, they're just going through the motions. They're going through in a perfunctory way. They just know if they stop, they're going to be in trouble. But, they're looking at us. They're slowing down. They're reading the signs. And as I said last week, a little blue car, it had about 3 people, 2 in the front seat, 1 in the back. They came by, they beeped. And then there was a guy that came by in a blue pickup truck. And he beeped and he gave us thumbs up. So that is wonderful. I mean, it really shows you that, people are watching and listening. And I don't want to be rude. I would never go in there. And the police told me, I get a permit every year. And the police told me, don't go on their land, Rick. They even know me down to the police department now. They know I'm coming down every year to get the permit. So don't go on their land. Don't go on their land, because if you do, we have to arrest you. I understand. I won't go on their land. So, but they didn't even come down the other night. Usually they're there all the time, but they did not even come down. They know it's peaceful. There's not going to be a problem,
Yeah.
So that's,
Rick, that's just so great. It's just great. I'll be quiet, but Rick, I tell you, it really gets us all motivated. I tell you, because my former clients, a PMO, and she went back to the Kingdom Hall, to the meetings, and she doesn't want to be there, Rick. She doesn't believe it all, but she's doing it to please her family, so it's just, we're all blessed, honey. I'm telling you, we got to count our blessings to be out of that organization each and every day, Freedom feels so good, Rick, I tell you.
well, doesn't it? You know what it reminds me of, Constance? You see all of the people coming in from other countries, and no matter how they're getting here, whether legal or illegal, they love America. I mean, they can hardly wait. That they love America. They're doing everything they can to get here. And because they know it's freedom, they know they have a life ahead of them. So I can understand they want to be here. And it's the same thing with us leaving the Watchtower. We have freedom. I feel like one of those immigrants. It's like, wow, I found a brand new world out here, a brand new world. Thank you, Constance.
Right. Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Well, that's a good conversation there with Constance. But, you know, I'm going to tell you. Yes, Randy.
I just want to tell you real briefly something that it was interesting to me that happened this last week that I learned about, and it's about a family, a Jehovah's Witness family, a long-time Jehovah's Witness family, been in it forever. They were in my sister's congregation in Texas. The last time I was at their house, they're very nice people, good, kind-hearted people. The man's an elder, and we were talking about using the tablets, you know, because everybody at that time I was there at his house I was a PMO, okay, and so we got to start talking about how they're using the tablets up on the stage and everything, and he was very adamant. He says, "Nope, I'm not going to use that technology at all." I said, "Well, what are you going to do when you have a part?" He says, "Oh, I just have one of the younger ones printed up for me on paper, and I'll get up on the stage." He says, "I'll never use a tablet." So all these years after they started doing the Zoom, I wondered, well, did he ever get doing the tablet? Did he ever go to the meeting? I have no idea. I never asked him that, so I don't know. But his wife passed away, and they had the services this last week. And here's the thing: is he did not want any funeral talk. He didn't even want any kind of reading to be done. All they did was play some slides, had a viewing, and visited with each other. And so that was just kind of outstanding to me. I don't know if anybody's ever seen anything like that, but to me, it's like this guy. He's either woken up or he's seen enough of the corruption from being in it for so long. The reason he didn't want to do the Zoom too. I mean, not the Zoom, but the tablets. This was interesting. Years ago, he told me, he says, you never know what you might be getting. It might be some apostates that put that up there and you think you're reading it from the society.
That's crazy. Well, people do feel that way, you know? Thank you. Thank you, Randy. Well, that's good. No, hey, Randy's right on target. He's got a lot of people he knows. He has a lot of good stories to tell us. We always appreciate having Randy come on. Yeah, well, anyways, I talked about governments that are really now cracking down on the witnesses. And, you know, I started looking around this week for banned religious groups. And do you know Jehovah's Witnesses are one of the most banned religious groups in the world? Did you know that? Well, it's true. You know, you would think some of these other oddball religions.
Do we know how many countries, Rick?
Do we know how many
countries?
countries?
We have a ballpark idea?
I would say, yeah, I'd say about probably 35 countries.
Wow.
Maybe not. It's in the 30s. It's in the 30s. Not the 40s, but it's one of the most banned religious organizations in the world. Government restrictions are now being put on this religion all around the world. We have been talking about it here on JW World News. Now, the governments, they're restrictive according to the witnesses. They look at it as persecution, but my goodness, they are being banned. They are being investigated in so many different lands right now. Jehovah's Witnesses, as we mentioned, one of the most frequently banned groups. Authorities often cite security concerns. Yeah, authorities are concerned for safety and security of the citizens of the country. They have linked some of these groups, well, maybe not the Jehovah's Witnesses, but they have linked to these groups violence. And that's one reason why they impose bans. And I'll tell you something, even the Russian government, they haven't ruled out violence coming from the Jehovah's Witnesses. And that's why they put a big ban on them. Now, other countries look at the Jehovah's Witnesses as a deviant cult. Yes, boy, you put those two words together. That's pretty powerful, right? It's one thing to be a cult, but it's another thing to be a deviant cult. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses are exactly that. They're dangerous. They're destructive. So, you know, we see many countries now coming down. In fact, even Egypt. I was looking around there this week in Egypt. Well, they've been having issues with Jehovah's Witnesses for many, many years. And they've put all kinds of restrictions on Jehovah's Witnesses. They've denied witnesses the benefits and the ability to perform routine tasks such as banking and registering for school. The witnesses in Egypt are not permitted to have places of worship or import religious literature. So they have to practice their faith in small numbers. They don't have kingdom halls, but the Egyptian government lets them practice in small numbers, as we say. Now, the reason why I even bring this up is we've been talking about all these countries: Belgium, Sweden, France, Russia. We now have Norway. We've been talking about them. They've been on the news lately, and you couldn't miss it this week. All about Norway. When you check in Jehovah's Witnesses on Google, or you try to get news on the witnesses, it's all about Norway. But what's going on in Norway, you're probably asking? Well, I'll tell you, something big's going on in Norway, and I'm so glad this week. I read it in the middle of the night, and I couldn't hardly get back to sleep again. I was so happy. Now, what it is in Norway, many people were coming forward, and they were telling the governments in Norway how heinous and evil the Watchtower is. And there was one woman named Gray Helen Nygaard, and Sister Nygaard, she got this fellowship. And, well, I'll tell you what happened. She was a Jehovah's Witness, and she was guilty of gross sexual immorality, and she was expelled, disfellowshipped, from the congregation. Everyone turned their backs on Sister. And what happened is even her children were told not to talk to their mother, which was pretty doggone bad, right? So she went to the government, she complained, and she was disfellowshipped for gross sexual misconduct. But she claimed that when she was sleeping, someone raped her, and that they would not even bring that into consideration. They just fellowshipped her anyways. So she was so ticked off, she went to the government, and before you know it, others started coming forward too. So the Norwegian government got so many complaints and people telling their stories how they're being shunned. Now, what Norway did was really neat. And let me explain this to you. In some countries, Watchtower, somebody's got making noise in the background. Put your hand over your phone if you would, okay? Just do that for me. In some countries, in Norway is one of them, the Watchtower, they actually get money per members. The more members one has, I'm just going to get in here and mute some people. Hold on 1 second, friends. I got to get in and mute some people. All right, I'm going to ask if you can we got to keep you muted here. Do that for me, that'll make it so much easier. But in some countries, money is given to religions, and Watchtower is one of the religions was getting money in Norway. The more heads you have, the more members you have, the more money you get. And they do that. They do that as kind of like a form of social welfare. It's for the governments, it's for the religions that are trying to take care of the people, and also to pay the pastors and religious leaders. But anyways, Norway said, we're going to cut that money off. About 3 months ago, Norway came forward and said, because you're shunning and because you're not going along with what would be proper and which would be right, we're going to cut the funds off from you. So Watchtower appealed. They actually wrote to the Norwegian government and they said, give us some slack here. You got this all wrong. We don't do this. They're basically saying they're not doing the things that the ex-witnesses are telling them they did. But just this week, Norway said, nope, we don't believe all that BS, basically is what they said. They said, we don't believe what you're telling us, Watchtower. You can write all the letters, you can meet with us, but write in your own publications. You're saying how to disconnect from people. You're talking about children that don't want to believe Jehovah anymore as being disfellowshipped. You can't do that in Norway. So they lost. They lost getting all the money, and I'm going to tell you it's about $1.5 million a year. So Norway is denying the funding of Jehovah's Witnesses, not because of their belief. It has nothing to do with what their belief is. It has to do with their reprehensible actions, what they do. And Norway saw through all of their baloney. So I think this is fine. Now, I went through the documents, what Norway would expect from religions. I mean, it's like hundreds of articles. But Section 2, I found this very fascinating. The Norway, they call it the Religious Communities Acts. And there's a couple of things in there that kind of stood out for me. But under Section 2, it says no one, this is the Norwegian government now, they're saying no one may bind himself legally to belonging or not belonging to a religious community, religious organization, or order, nor may anyone bind another person to such a body. So what they're saying here is you can't go binding yourself to a religious community or an order. In other words, well, remember when we were young, we said we're blood brothers. So some people would go to the point of going crazy to belong to an order, but they don't want people doing that. And they're also saying that people can't bind another one to such a order or to such a religious community. But Section 4 is the one that you can really drive home. And notice this, I wish America had some type of a regimented thesis here on what to do with cults and with religions like Norway. Section 4 says, no one under the age of 20 may give a lifelong promise to belong to a religious order, a monastery, or similar organization. It is unlawful to accept such a promise. So they're saying here, in essence, that anyone under 20 cannot give a promise. That's what people do when they get baptized in the Jehovah's Witnesses, right? But no one under 20 can give this promise to belong to a religious order. So Jehovah's Witnesses, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what they do. And I'm going to show you. We'll do that later. That's my picture of the week. We have a young person getting baptized. So young people get baptized under 20 years old, making a promise. Because baptism, think about it. When you get baptized as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you're making a promise to the organization, the spirit-directed organization, that you're going to be with them. And it's a lifelong promise. Even if you were baptized at 8 years old and you don't want to be a witness at 16, boom, you're gone. So this is awesome what Norway is doing. Go ahead.
The notion of a certain age of knowing or maturity in Europe goes back before Christianity. It goes back to the Viking times, to the tribal times. It was considered that you had to be a certain age, even though they didn't know anything about brain science like they do today, that you really can't make good decisions until you're about, past 25 or whatever. The ancient tribes of Europe knew this, and they also had a notion that you can think what you want to think.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that Norway at least recognizes that anybody under 20, they might not have been mature enough to make a promise. But the Watchtower doesn't do that, Pixie. No, they don't.
Oh, no, they don't.
No, they don't.
It goes really against the way humans are constructed.
Right. All right, well, we'll move on now. But really, I wanted to point this out tonight. And, Norway is saying, look at Watchtower, we're not going to back down here. You lost the money. You're going to lose $1.5 million a year. Just suck it up and get away from us. We don't want you really promulgating yourself in such a way. Now, they can still operate, obviously, but they're not going to get the money. So, one thing that got the Jehovah's Witnesses in trouble in Norway is a publication the Jehovah's Witnesses have. That book is called Shepherd the Flock of God book. That's the Secret Elders Manual, right? Y'all know that book, right? So anyways, Norway, the government, the powers to be in the government, they thumbed through the book. They saw what Jehovah's Witnesses do. They could see it right from the horse's mouth, that's what they do. They shun people, and they're instructed to shun people. So this is wonderful what Norway's doing. But another thing I want.
Rick,
Yes. Yes, Kurt.
Hello, Rick.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, Kurt Hatfield. How you doing?
I'm cranking away at it.
You're doing good.
Oh, yeah.
Good information, especially on Norway. I wanted to ask your opinion about the Russians, how they've dealt with the Watchtower. Do you think that the Watchtower deserved from Putin and the Kirill, the Russian Orthodox leader? I don't know. I think there might have been a conspiracy there, and they instructed the Russian courts what to do. I don't know all the details. I think it may have went back to comment in the Watchtower, maybe something negative about the Orthodox Church. But as a result, I don't know all the details, but you had confiscation of properties. You know the story a lot better than I do. And coming into people's homes, there were people that were arrested. I don't know all the numbers, the details. And it sounds a little bit unfair to me. In Russia, I imagine with the Adventists or the Pentecostals, whoever's there, they would also agree that the Orthodox Church that operates in Russia is, I guess, the right arm of Satan, probably the real truth of the matter. So I don't know what the future holds, all the Bible prophecies about religion on earth and the kings of the earth and how this is all going to pan out. But it seems like to me with the Russian situation, it's quite unfair. I just wanted to get your input on that before you moved on to another topic.
All right. Well,
no. Thank you for taking my call. Go ahead, Rick.
Well, no, thank you, Kurt, for checking in. Well, the Russians, with their ban on the Jehovah's Witnesses, it does seem to be extreme. But I can almost come to grips with why the witnesses are being put in that position. They were totally flagrant. They did not want to follow the rules of the Russian government. Russia told them they couldn't do certain things, and they're right in Russia's face. But so be it. Another thing that I come to grips with the Russian government coming down on the witnesses, Russia is not as rich as a lot of people think. You know, in the old Soviet Union, the bloc of the Soviet Union, it was a lot more wealthy. When that all broke apart, Russia really is not that economically powerful. Now, when you have a cult in your country, and they shun people, and they don't take blood transfusions, and they break families apart, and people committing suicide, the Russian government got a heads up on who the witnesses are, and they labeled them an extremist group. Now, that sounds pretty extreme, if you would, no pun intended, but it does sound extreme that they would come down on the witnesses like that. But being a poor country, they can't afford to have families breaking apart and children being displaced and all of the money and all of the problems that creates in the government. So they came down on the witnesses. That's one reason I do believe. Now, they're not terrorists. You know, the Watchtower is not a terrorist organization, but they are labeled as extremists. But they broke the law. And, you know, they could have done it without being in the face, but they were in the face and they kept meeting when they were not supposed to. So the government had to come down on them. But I thought it was kind of unfair that, you know, some women and some young men and even people that probably shouldn't have gone to jail did. But that's what happens in Russia. But thank you, Kurt, for checking in with us. I mean, there are people that disagree.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
Rick, this is Pete, XAW Curious.
Oh, yes, Pete.
How you doing?
I'm good.
That's good. Hey, I did a video on the Russia thing. Russia warned the Jehovah's Witnesses well in advance that they were heading towards a ban. and they told them explicitly what they had to do to avoid that action. And what it boiled down to was some of the Watchtower's literature was deemed extremist. Not all of it, but some of it. So Russia told Watchtower, remove this particular literature from being distributed, and there won't be a problem. But Watchtower refused to comply. And so Russia banned the Watchtower initially. But when the Jehovah's Witnesses continued to distribute the banned literature, that's what caused the police involvement, because at this point the witnesses were breaking the law. The literature was being banned and the witnesses were distributing banned material. So it's not, I mean, Watchtower, of course, is portraying it as a religious persecution when it's not. I mean, the Muslims in Russia are being religiously persecuted, but the Jehovah's Witnesses are just being prosecuted for breaking the law.
Well, very good comment, Pete. I like the comment. Yeah, they could have weaseled out of it, but you know something? The Watchtower loves all that persecution. You know, that's where they got the stormtrooper ideas and these troopers busting the doors down at Kingdom Halls and what have you. Now that fed into the persecution complex. I'll tell you that.
Oh, absolutely. I just saw an image in one of the Watchtowers where they have a bunch of Kenny Rogers looking angels looking down at a SWAT team going into a house. You know, you gotta love the Watchtower.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's kind of a relationship that just never ends. I mean, at one time we loved them, now we hate them. My goodness, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thank you, Pete. Thank you.
All right, Rick, have a good night, man.
Thank you.
Hey, Pete?
Hey, Pete. Yeah, good.
We never know the truth of the stories that we're getting
Pixie.
the legal pages were very different regarding the sad persecutions. I was really upset by the people in Russia, but the legal pages that the lawyers get were very different than the story the Watchtower was telling its members.
Hey, Pixie.
Oh, very much.
Yeah. Pixie. Yeah. I want you. I don't want you to talk over people now. You wait. You let other people come in. Let's all take our turn. We had Chewy wanted to say hello to Pete. You still there, Chewy?
Yeah, I'm still here. I just want to say, hey, Pete, I'm subscribing.
Hey, Chewy.
I like the stuff. You do a good job. Where are you from?
My mother originally, no, I live about half an hour away from Rick in the apostate capital of the world, Massachusetts.
Yeah, I knew I heard a Yankee accent there. I just didn't know exactly where it was from. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Have a good day. I'll comment.
Take care, Shane. Take care, Chewy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for commenting. But, you know, I wanted to bring up Pixie. Now, did you want to finish what you were saying? Go ahead.
I was just saying that the legal pages that the lawyers get was totally different than the spin that the Watchtower had given their members. And the other story this week, I sent it to Linda James. The gentleman has not finished his report, but he was saying the Watchtower Corporation's worth more like $40 billion.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing. Boy, it could be.
So there may be more on that later. And then Russia, of course, has its own strange news. This week, several of their rich oligarchies, they showed up dead. So it wasn't suicide. It was somebody took out the layer of wealth there.
Well, I believe that Reese is going to be touching on that tonight, so we'll have to listen in.
Good.
Thank you. Oh, that's Pixie. All right. Well, listen, in fact, you know, one thing that really concerns me about the Watchtower and all of these, now here they are getting politically involved with Norway. They had the witnesses writing letters, from what I understand. They do this. They get politically involved. But, you know, at the same time, weren't we told to be politically neutral? Come on, let's get real with this. They completely suppress the freedom of conscience when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses voting. They kind of say, even though they don't want you to vote, but they kind of leave it up to your conscience. But, they suppress that. Historically, the Watchtower is always, no, don't you dare sign political cards. Don't you dare join a civilian service as a conscientious objector. And yet the Watchtower here is pleading with nations. They are politically involved. They are lobbying. When it comes to money on the line for the Watchtower, no option is left off the table, right? They're constantly going to engage with these governments. Well, they mobilized, I'm sure they did it in Norway, they mobilized all of their adherents to engage in spam campaigns. Now, they did that with Russia. As a matter of fact, Russia was getting ticked off. That's another reason. There was millions of letters coming into Russia from Jehovah's Witnesses all over the world because they were being encouraged by the Watchtower organization to write letters to Russia, to Putin, to the government. Their post offices were buried with mail. It caused problems for the post office in Russia. That's a fact. And there are many, many countries that are now seeing what the Watchtower is hiding behind. Now, not all countries give the Watchtower money, but there are a number of European countries that do. So we'll have to see what unfolds in the future. Now, even as far as Norway saying, nope, you're going to pay. Now, the Watchtower can appeal this. They have one last appeal, and they can appeal this rendering to the European Union Human Rights Court. But I'm going to tell you, I don't think they're going to do it. I just feel they're not going to do it because they've lost. The Norwegian court has shown that the witnesses are what they said they are. They do shun people. Shunning is a vital part of the cult's maintenance. This is how the Jehovah's Witnesses stay alive, by maintaining shunning. And if they're going to push this and go to the European Court of Rights, human rights, it could be more of a problem for them. Other countries would say, hey, look, we're going to do the same thing as Norway. So I think they're going to back off. I think the Watchtower is just going to let it go, lose $1.5 million a year. I mean, how much money can they lose? They're losing a lot here from lawsuits and what have you. So I'm going to say this, that they might not want that negative or cynical public relations. They might just back off, and we'll see what happens. But I think that is what's going to happen. Oh, well, you're on JW World News. This is the news the Watchtower doesn't want you talking about. But like I say, we do it every Saturday night. Did you happen to catch the Watchtower July 22nd? Jesus directed the governing body on how to deal with COVID. Yeah, that is in July 22nd. Why? I couldn't believe it. They're now saying Jesus directed the governing body on how to deal with COVID. That is an act that's right in print from the Watchtower. And paragraph 14 in the study edition says Jesus provides wise direction in times of crisis. I'm reading this verbatim right from the Watchtower. The benefits of that direction were evident when the COVID-19 pandemic broke out. While many in the world were uncertain about what course to take, Jesus made sure that we received clear guidance to keep us safe. Oh, yeah, this is right in the Watchtower. So Jesus made sure that the Watchtower got clear guidance to keep them safe. And then it goes on to say, we are, excuse me, let me read this, then we'll answer some questions. All right. We are engaged to wear face coverings when out in public to practice physical distancing. That's what they're saying in the Watchtower. The elders were reminded to maintain regular contact with all in the congregation and be aware of their physical and spiritual needs. Oh, yeah. There's physical and spiritual needs. When was the last time elders came over and said, hey, here's some money from the organization? They're not taking care of your physical needs, not even your spiritual needs. It's the Watchtower's needs. So paragraph 14, Jesus provides wise direction in times of crisis. Do you believe that now? Do you think now is Jesus only giving this information to the Jehovah's Witnesses? The way this article is written, it seems that way. And it also kind of is reminiscent of other Watchtower articles or even other statements Watchtower made. Let's roll the clocks back to 1919. Jesus came down to earth. He looked at all the different religions of the world and he picked Jehovah's Witnesses. This is like a similar thing. So Jesus is giving the Watchtower organization clean guidance when it comes to being safe when the COVID seemed to be really going crazy. Okay, so I'm going to disconnect from that way of thinking. That is not really true. And the witnesses are going to suck this up. How is it that these guys, the governing body, is going to give the witnesses, Jesus is telling the governing body how to direct themselves during COVID? How is it that Jesus would actually even communicate with these guys? They're not even, well, we know the Watchtower told us on numerous occasions that they're saying things that are unreasonable, illogical, doesn't make sense. So, I mean, the Jehovah's Witness is a Watchtower going to blame Jesus if something, I mean, they bring Jesus, Jesus doesn't want to be associated with these buffoons. He doesn't. But yet the Watchtower is showing that that's the way it is. So,
What about the other people who were doing things before them?
You want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, how's it going? My name's Frank. I'm new on here.
Oh, Frank,
long time listener, first time caller.
Well, thank you, Frank.
Yeah, I'm also from Massachusetts, by the way.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you're up here.
Yeah,
the apostate capital of the world up here.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I says you're in the apostate capital of the world.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I'm also a firefighter out here in Massachusetts. And when COVID started, I got to tell you, for them to make the claim that they were ahead of everybody else, that they were being directed to do the right thing, no. Because, being a firefighter, I was getting information here from the CDC, from the Board of Health, from the different cities. For a good maybe month, I was telling at that time, I'm totally out now, but at that time I was still on my way out. Okay, so we were still going to meetings, my wife and I was advising the older people. I was telling them, listen, we don't know what's going on with this, but I'm hearing from work and getting papers from the CDC. We're getting papers from the Board of Health. I don't think older ones, at the very least, at the very most, shouldn't be at the meeting. I was telling my parents this. They're in their 70s, and I'm telling other older ones. And then I'm being told, oh no, we're just gonna wait. We're gonna wait. They were a good 6 weeks, if not 2 months, behind the rest of the world when it came to getting rid of the meeting. They took a long time to transition to finally go to, all right, we're only going to do a few at the meetings and we'll do telephone tie-in. And then they finally went to Zoom. But people were already being advised, especially older groups of people, not to be meeting together. So anyways, that's one thing. And one more thing about this is, what about everybody else that was doing the right thing? Was Jesus guiding them too?
Well, that's a good question. That's a darn good question. But see, they seem to think they have a patent on Jesus and Jehovah. It's like they own Jehovah
right.
And Jesus. Yeah, something to think about.
So anyway, that's what I got. Hopefully,
Jesus was a great physician. Is that a code word for CDC?
The what?
I said Jesus was a great physician. In the book of Luke, he has all the specialties covered. So maybe they're trying to say that the CDC instructed them, but they just can't bring themselves to say it.
All I know is that during this 2-year period, I've never heard witnesses say more than ever this phrase: we just got to look the direction of the superior authorities. I've never heard witnesses say that more than during these 2-year periods. They put
Hey, Pixie, Pixie, if you could do me a favor, I want you to call me during Reese's program. My telephone number is 508.
Hold on, let me get a pen.
Okay. Excuse me.
the witnesses are always kind of a day late and a dollar short. I find it interesting that the firefighter here has said that they were late adapters to the plan there.
All right, Pixie, you got a pen? Take mine. I want you to call me during recess for about a half hour in. You can give me a call. And
okay, I had to get to another spot here.
Okay. My number is 508 572 5599.
5599.
Yeah, call me about a half hour into Reese's program. I just want to talk to you for a bit. Okay, in fact, I just wanted to ask that brother from Massachusetts. Whereabouts in Mass you from, by the way?
I'm in the Worcester area.
Oh, are you really? Okay. All right. That's fine. Not too far away. Yeah. Well, thank you for chiming in. Thank you. Don't be a stranger. I'll come back and talk to us.
All right. I definitely will. All right.
Thank you.
For the more info.
Well, thank you. Night. All right. Good night to him. I'm going to say right up here in the Massachusetts area. That's always good to hear from that, from people like that. So anyways, I want you to think about some things here. So the governing body is saying Jesus is directing them. He helped them to get through COVID. He gave them all the information they needed to keep the witnesses safe. But I mean, really, it wasn't really Jesus that gave them the information to keep the witnesses safe. If you want to be realistic, all of the instructions weren't coming from Jesus that the witnesses were following. They were following the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization, it's part of the harlot. It's part of the United Nations. So who really was directing? They were getting all this information like that brother just said that called in as a fireman. They were getting it from the government. So I'll tell you what, I'm not sure. In fact, I heard something. Somebody wrote me last week. You got to hear this. This was so extreme. A person wrote me and said they went to the Kingdom Hall and there was a woman there, an older woman. And she was so happy that all the brothers and sisters are back to the meeting and they're all kissing and hugging. And she says, wasn't it wonderful what Dr. Fauci did for us? I mean, really, Dr. Fauci, I'm surprised she even brought him up in the Kingdom Hall. But she was saying, wasn't it wonderful how he instructed, the witnesses and helped us to get through this crisis? Man, the witnesses were paranoid during the COVID lockdown and where they couldn't go out. I mean, I have relatives witnesses. In fact, even my own, I won't say who it was, but I have a relative that was told not even go to work. And the other witnesses were mad at her because she didn't want to go to work because she was afraid she was going to get COVID. And other people were going back. So, Jesus, as the governing body says, they were. Now, here's a thought. I want you to think about this. So if Jesus was the one that was behind this whole incident of COVID and the one that was guiding the witnesses and giving them instructions, what about the Watchtower telling the witnesses that they really should get the life-saving jabs? They should get the shot. Well, I wonder how many Jehovah's Witnesses died in 2021 thanks to a 40% increase in deaths. Did you know that? Yeah, I have a YouTube video here. I know it might be controversial for some, but I should play it for you guys. I want to know how many witnesses really died because they took the shot. Now, I'm not telling you to take the shot or not, but now all of a sudden there's evidence coming out, and I'd like to play you. I really would like to play you a video here so that you'll get to see what this woman, she's a doctor, and what she was saying concerning the jab and people getting the jab. Let me see if I can't share the screen here so you guys can see it. So let me just get in here, share the screen, and I want you to see this because this really got my attention. This really, really got my attention when I saw this today, and I got thinking even about the witnesses. I got thinking about, wow, who's going to be to blame? What if all of a sudden now in a couple of years they find out a lot of these people that got the shot that it really bothered their health? Will the Watchtower be sued for it? Well, let me see if we can't get this video up. I'm working on that right now. So let's see if we got it right here. She is right here. Let me just scroll it back here so we can get the full import of this. So let's go back. We'll listen to a few minutes of this, but this woman's telling us all about what goes on. She's a doctor. Listen in, please.
An unexplainable increase in all-cause deaths among 18 to 49-year-olds. Along with that, there's also been an increase in certain medical diagnoses, such as miscarriages and Bell's palsy. Here to give us her take on the new data and what she believes could be causing the rise in numbers is emergency medicine and disaster specialist, Dr. Kelly Victory. Dr. Victory, good morning. Great to talk to you as always.
Good morning, Jason. Thanks for having me.
Okay, we want to make sure that anytime we talk, we want to make sure the information that we have is accurate. So let's start this interview by telling us, I've seen your correspondence here, what is the source of the information that you're about to present?
Well, this information became available to me or on my radar last week following a hearing with Senator Ron Johnson, who was looking at sort of what he calls a second opinion on the entire response to the COVID pandemic. The medical data was released by 3 career military physicians who got the information from the military database that collects what we call ICD codes, which are the diagnosis codes. And these physicians had a feeling, they believed based on their own observation, that they were seeing a significant uptick in certain conditions. So they actually went back and culled the database from the military on certain conditions over a 5-year period, from 2016 through 2020, notably containing 1 year, 2020, of the full-blown pandemic. So they looked at 2016, 17, 18, 19, and 20 at the prevalence of certain conditions, including things like heart attack, blood clots to the lung, miscarriages, those sorts of things, and they compared it to the incidence of those same things in the calendar year 2021 and saw an alarming increase in certain things. For example, they saw a 270% increase in myocardial infarction in 2021, a 300% increase in incidence of Bell's palsy and of certain neurologic complaints, a 470% increase in pulmonary embolisms, blood clots to the lungs, and many, many other huge increases that they found alarming. Now, no one is saying with any certainty, Jason, what is causing this, but we certainly would be remiss as scientists if we didn't look at that and say, there is something going on. What happened in 2021 that was so different from the previous 5-year average that would cause this massive increase in certain medical conditions?
So the source of the information.
Well, we'll stop it right there. I wanted you to hear that because it struck a bell with me today. We know, of course, the Watchtower were doing nothing but promulgating, doing nothing but telling the witnesses to get vaccinated. All of the governing bodies vaccinated, all the Bethel members are vaccinated. So they were telling all the witnesses to get vaccinated. And now we have, we've heard stories about it. Now we have a doctor coming on and they're starting to find out about these mysterious deaths. Yes, 40% increase in mysterious deaths in 2021 is what that doctor was just talking about. So, stop and think about it. And even though the Watchtower is saying Jesus was behind the witnesses and giving them the instructions on how to deal with COVID, but let me just remind everybody that the infection rate for Jehovah's Witnesses was higher than the general public. Did you know that? Yes. They did a video, the governing body, they did a video, one of these updates they do with their live streaming, and they were talking over 20,000 deaths in the organization. And I'm not making this stuff up, but their death rates were very high. And also it was mentioned that their ability to fight off the COVID wasn't as good as the general public. So was Jesus really with these guys? Think about it. My goodness, the witnesses, they believe everything coming down the pike. So I want to bring that to your attention because I found that very, very fascinating. Oh, my goodness.
Rick?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
This is Carrie.
Oh, hi, Carrie. Hey, I'm glad you're doing better. I heard you had some health issues, but you're back to normal again, huh?
No, I'm not. I'm still in now rehab.
Oh, are
I'll
you?
be
Yeah.
in for a while.
Well,
But the reason I called is because somebody got me a cell phone so I could hear the show at least. Fortunately, it only took out my eyes and my ability to walk. So the stroke did. So, but I want to thank Under the Radar for calling, and my friend for going into YouTube, and I don't know about the suite, but I requested that somebody let you guys know that that I didn't just drop out of the suite because I'm pretty faithful. But the reason why I'm calling in is because I'm really surprised that the Jehovah's Witnesses are acknowledging Jesus the way they are. I never remember. It was always Jehovah, not just I mean, maybe the Holy Spirit in some ways, but not Jesus is doing any works for anything. If you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, no, I know just what you mean. In fact, I saw that too.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean, I'm really surprised. I'm surprised that they're giving Jesus the job, So, but anyways, that's my short. And that's another thing. My memory is a little messed up, but I just want to thank everybody, and I miss all you guys. I really do. Somehow, I don't know how I could see a screen at this point, but I'm going to see if somehow I could get somebody to bring a laptop or something up here, and maybe part of my eye could see something. So, yeah, I miss you guys.
well, we miss you too, Carrie, and I was awful sorry to hear that. I didn't know how to get a hold of you or whatever. I was praying for you, though. I want you to know that.
Well, thank you very much. I happened to have it at 11:15 as I was in the suite, and all of a sudden, I just lost my eyesight, and I figured, well, I better lay down, and thought it would be okay. And I woke up, I couldn't see, so, and then I couldn't walk. So, they got me to the hospital. Now I'm in rehab. So I'll be here for a while. But I miss all you guys so much. I really do. This was my Saturday night, every night. So, but I want to thank you so much, Zachary, Shirley, ZZZ Pro, Under the Radar, Michael, all you guys, you, Rick, everybody for thinking about me, even for a moment.
Well, so, Carrie, we missed you.
Let you go and.
I said we really missed you. I really did. You add a lot of life in there. The suite isn't as lively as it was without you. So we're looking forward to getting back. And we hope.
Well, I'm that Connecticut Yankee here that kind of speaks her mind, good and bad. But yeah, well, listen, you carry on, and as soon as I can and able, I will be back.
Thank you. Well, you're a nice lady, and but we're all going to be praying for you too, Carrie. You just hang in there. You're a wonderful woman.
I appreciate it.
And don't you be a stranger.
Do need it.
Well, it's
kind of scary here.
It's a hard thing, but you'll be okay. We're all going to pray, and you just think of good things, Carrie. Thank you.
I sure will. Thank you so much, and love to all.
Thank you. Well, there you are. That's Carrie.
Bye-bye.
Isn't that wonderful to hear from her? I wasn't sure how she was doing. I didn't know what to do, but we now understand, and you guys in the suite heard it too. So wasn't that wonderful that she was in here with us tonight? Absolutely. Well, anyways, we're glad you're with us as well. We've got a lot of people listening in tonight. You're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, you're on the suite, and you're calling in from our radio telephone network, and we're so glad to have you all. Yeah, one thing I wanted to say here too is there was a picture. There was a picture. A picture. I know you just called me, but call me during Reese's program. Call me during Reese's program because I can't talk and chew gum here at the same time. So call me during Reese's program and I want to talk to you. All right. So, anyways, we've got a picture that appears in the July 2022 Watchtower. I'm going to put the picture up. If you're on YouTube, you'll see it. If you're on YouTube, you'll see this picture. It's unreal. I'll explain to you if you're on our other networks and you can't see it. But let me get the picture up. This picture kind of tells it all. I think you guys can see it. Let me just double check. Yep. So anyways, you can see a picture. This is in the July 2022 Watchtower. And there's a picture of Tony Morris. Oh, my goodness. He's the one that was caught up in the liquor store buying that, expensive Scotch whiskey. So there he is there. And this is so fascinating. But actually, the name of the article is Treasure Your Privilege of Prayer. And it looks like everyone's praying to Tony in the picture. It shows a woman, a sister, Jehovah's Witness woman. She's praying with her hands folded. And there's Tony. And there's some brothers and sisters that are having a brother and sister having trouble, evidently financially. Looks like they're leaving their house. And then it shows another brother. He looks like he's in Ukraine or Russia. So it shows a sister praying, but they put Tony Morris there. I can't believe it. I don't know why they put, of all pictures of a governing body. I mean, are you praying that he? I mean, I'm not sure what they're praying for. They're praying for, maybe they're praying that give Tony today his Mac 8 and let him not fall into inferior Scotch. Maybe that's what they're praying for. I don't know. But this reminds me. This reminds me.
Hey, Rick.
Yes. What do you think, Braden? This is crazy.
This is Larry.
Oh, Larry.
I just wanted to say, yeah, from what you said, there was a picture of a woman with her hands together. They used to tell us that was basically pagan, that you have to fold your hands, and they still show it in their pictures.
Yeah, they got a picture. The woman has got her eyes closed. She's got her hands together, not perfectly folded, but kind of laying on top of each other. And she's praying to there's three different images in the picture, but the biggest image there, the one that's closer to her, is Tony Morris praying for Tony.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Oh. Well, he needs more money.
Well, he needs more whiskey. Yes, he needs more whiskey.
Yeah.
So good to hear from you, Larry. So you're doing good, huh?
Yeah, doing well. I just want to let everybody know, I heard from my good friend Kurt that Brian comes on from Canada. His wife died. So if we could give our prayers to Brian for, what he's going through right now and understanding.
Oh, my goodness. I did not hear that. Was that recent? Because I heard from Brian it must have been a week because he wasn't.
Yeah, I think it was Friday.
Oh my goodness! Well, she wasn't on
Thursday or Friday.
That is a crying shit. That's terrible. Well, keep Brian in our prayers. Thank you, Larry, for sharing that. Golly. Yeah. Well, we hope all goes well with Brian. Poor Brian. He's a good man too, and I know he loved his wife. I know he loved his wife. He's mentioned that many times. Yes, go ahead.
Hello. Hey, how you doing?
Good. Yes.
Hey, Larry.
Hey, Kim, how you doing?
My goodness, Larry, I miss you so much. Where have you been?
I've been working. We'll talk again. We'll talk soon. I don't want to take up Rick Byrne's call with our.
Yeah, I know.
I'll talk to you soon. Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. Okay. Have a good night. All right. Sorry, Rick.
Oh, that's okay, Kim. Thank you. That's Kim. So anyways, we have the woman, the sister, Jehovah's Witness woman, praying. And to Tony Morris and the others, well, there's nothing wrong. I mean, prayer is good. We all pray, right? As Christians, we pray. So I'm not blaming the witnesses for praying, but it's just odd to me. It's just odd that they got a picture of Tony there. And of course, they're suggesting in the article to pray for the brothers, pray for all the brothers, taking the lead. Of course, that's the governing body. They all are walking around like little popes right now. So, yeah, prayer is something that Well, I mean, as witnesses, we all prayed, but you know something? I mean, I used to pray a lot. Brother Farron, would you say a prayer for the congregation? So I'd go up there, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm guilty. I am guilty that, you know, when I would pray, I would only pray for the brothers and sisters. I would say, please, Jehovah, would you help our brothers and sisters in the war-torn lands and those are receiving persecution? But I never really prayed for other people. But I find myself doing that today. I pray for Christians. I pray for all Christians. I pray for people that aren't Christians. I pray a lot now when I see the news, and you guys probably do too. When you see all the poor people in Ukraine and all the people are dead, it's terrible. And I pray, I stop and I just pray. It's just, I don't know what else to do. It's so terrible. So, but the witnesses don't. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit here, but the witnesses don't pray for other people. And it's really not showing genuine love. Now they show, as they say, brotherly love. They pray for their own ones, and they say that they're the most loving people on the planet. But really, are they? But I'm gonna get into the governing body update. Have you been following this on jw.org? Have you been watching some of this circus they're doing in there? And so this month, well, actually, they've had 2 this month already. But the second one we did here, update number 3, they call it, Jeffrey Jackson, the governing body member. Remember, he was the one that Johnny the Bethelite couldn't stand. Well, let me get out of here. Let me end this here. Let me get this out of the way so people can get back to me. All right, back again. But Johnny the Bethelite, he talked about Jeffrey Jackson. And he did not like Jeffrey Jackson. He was one of the guys that he could not stand. And did you know Jeffrey Jackson, Johnny was telling us, drives a Dodge Demon. It's an $80,000 car and has little pictures of demons on it, little devil demons, little decals. And Johnny asked him about that. He said, you know, that's funny. You're driving a demon, Brother Jackson. You know, it's kind of like a, you know, devilish type thing. Oh, don't worry about that. That's not a problem. But, you know, they can do whatever they want. But I'll guarantee you, if you got yourself a little Dodge Demon with those little devils on the side of it, you'd be getting a knock on your door from the elders. Hey, but let's talk about this update. I want to play the update, and I just want you to listen to it. We've got hold on one second. Excuse me one second. All right. Well, anyways, my phone keeps ringing, but we'll take care of that later. But anyways, I just wanted to mention one thing to you here tonight, that the governing body does these updates, and some of them are pretty bizarre. Now, this one here is kind of crazy with Jeffrey Jackson. Let me see if I can't get it up. I'll get this up so you guys can see it. So I just got to do this right now. I got to share my screen. Give me a second. We're on this platform. It's called StreamYard. And it takes just a little bit of time here to share your screen, but I want to get this up so you can see it. So I'm going to select online. There we go. And I believe that should be it. Let me just double check and see if you guys can see it. Well, let's see. Share. Select a preview. Give me 1 second, folks. One of these days, I'm going to have another person here with me, and I'm going to be able to do this. I want to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. But let me get this up. Why it doesn't do this at times, I'm not sure, but just stay with me and we'll get it. Okay, I see what I got to do here. Let's do this. jw.org online. There we go. Now I'm going to share it. So you should see if you're in the stream, man, if you're in YouTube right now, you should see it. There it is. Well, there is JW Broadcasting, and we're gonna play a portion of it. I want you to hear it. I think you'll find it really, really fascinating. Let's see if we can't get this a little bit bigger for you, and so you'll be able to see it better. So that's Jeffrey Jackson. You're looking at Jeffrey Jackson, and Jeffrey Jackson is going to speak to us here in a second. So let's do this. Let's put Jeffrey on. Listen to Jeffrey. You can see him if you're on YouTube and Facebook, but you listen to what he has to say. We'll listen for a little bit, then we'll kind of dissect what he has to say. Here we go.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to this update. No doubt we're all still thinking about the memorial of Christ's death and the great love that Jehovah and Jesus have shown. And it was so good that many of us were able to be together in person for this most important occasion of the year. Were you excited when you heard that we would resume in-person meetings worldwide on April 1st? The governing body really felt Jehovah's direction when making that decision, and we were excited to share it. Less than 2 hours after our meeting, the breaking news was posted. Likely, you can identify with the feelings of our brothers and sisters in the following video.
It's showing a picture of a brother, probably in Africa, riding his bike to the meeting. Another brother walking through the woods to the meeting. Another one riding a bike. So they're all going to the meeting in person for the first time. So they're driving up with their motorcycles, their bikes. And it looks like it might be in Africa, perhaps, yeah. Showing people going to the Kingdom Hall for the first time. They got their masks on. There they are in the Kingdom Hall with their masks, all shaking hands, hugging, kissing. No social distancing. Everyone's giddy. Everyone's hugging and going crazy, rubbing each other's back and just...
Now going back to the Kingdom Hall, it's wonderful seeing the brothers and sisters, hugging them. It's emotional. Clearly Jehovah knows what we need.
Shows all the witnesses in the Kingdom Halls, all around the world, different congregations, people with their masks on. Brother clapping that they're all back together. Can you believe all of this? I can't. There they are. They're praising. They're raising their hands. It looks like a Pentecostal church, really.
I feel very excited. I'm happy to be here, hearing everybody's comments.
Well, my stomach was in knots this morning, but right now I'm really excited and happy that we're all here.
For Jehovah's people to get back to worship together at meetings, talk about a spiritual paradise.
Okay. All right, we can stop that one there. We can stop that there. But that's Jeffrey Jackson. And of course, he's showing all the brothers and sisters meeting at the meeting for the first time. And they're all hugging. And everyone is so happy. What one thing I'm noticing, serious, let's get real with this. What is the purpose of wearing masks and to sitting 6 feet from each other in the Kingdom Hall, keeping their distance? And then what's the reason for wearing the mask, showing your distance, and at the same time they're shaking hands, they're hugging each other, and they're really just going crazy to see each other. Well, why wear the mask and why do the social distancing? Really? And Jeffrey Jackson, he's coming on, oh, Jehovah has been so nice to us, and now we can meet again. Well, what about all the other churches that even opened over a year ago with no problems? And I think the reason why they opened the Kingdom Halls back up again, really think about it, is that they need their donations. The donations, I'm sure, have been down. So, yeah, the governing body decided it's time to reopen. And you know what Jackson said? Well, what got my way of thinking here, it was really crazy what he said. The governing body met. And they were deciding, should we go back to the meetings? Should we or shouldn't we? So he says, after 2 hours of deciding what to do, they immediately said, yep, all the brothers and sisters around the world know that we're now going to go back to the meetings. Friends, the man that delivered this talk that you just saw in there, that man is a deceiver and he's a fraud, without any question of any doubt. I mean, if he wants to send me a letter, he can. I'm not defaming his character. He's a deceiver and a fraud. He was the one that was at the Australia Royal Commission. Remember that? Yeah, the Australia Royal Commission. He's the one that sat there in front of the prosecutor and lied. He lied about Jehovah's Witnesses not shunning. It's brought up to Jackson, do they shun? Well, some of the witnesses feel that's the position they take. No, that's the position Watchtower makes them take. So, he is not a man that is very trustworthy. Yet at the same time, he's giving this talk and, how Jehovah's helping us and bringing us back to the meetings. And then he goes on later in that little video piece. It's about a 19-minute long piece. Jackson goes into, and look at all the poor brothers and sisters in Ukraine. And, pray for our brothers and sisters. Well, what about praying, as I said earlier? What about praying for just normal people? You're seeing it on TV. You're seeing bodies spewing all over the place. What about praying for just the tragedy, the difficulty, the sadness? But no, it's all about praying for your brothers and sister. I wanted to bring that up tonight, but that's what it's all about. So the witnesses are now back at the meetings. I'm going to be surprised, if no COVID spreads and we don't hear any COVID cases taking up in the kingdom halls around the world, then something's wrong with COVID. I don't know if we can totally believe it all. So we'll see what happens. But if one person gets it, they're gonna have to shut the kingdom hall down. As a matter of fact, if you have been around a person who had COVID, the organization is suggesting don't come to the meeting for 10 days. Don't come to the meeting for 10 days. So there you have it. Did anyone get to the meeting? Did you guys hear anything about the meetings? Did you have relatives that went? You guys PMOs, what do you think? Did you go to the Kingdom Hall? Let us know what you think. How was it going back for the first time? Was it exciting? Did you get that feeling of spiritual connectedness to God and Jehovah? I mean, how'd you feel? Go ahead, speak up. Hit *6. Let us know. How'd you feel?
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, Rick, it's Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, I just listened to the show. Yeah, great show. Hey, I was going to say, I hate to say this like this, but I have to say it. The people, when I was watching that little clip you just did, the people, they're celebrating, right? Like they just came through Armageddon. And what's interesting about it and what's sad about it is how dumbed down the people are. I mean, people were rejoicing over a year ago. They were rejoicing because they could go back and be with one another. And the society, taking credit, like it's almost like we delivered you through Armageddon. You know what I mean? That's kind of the look on everybody's face, like they're so rejoicing. We made it. We made it through. The governing body made us through, helped us get through this crisis. And it's just so sad to see them so dumbed down because I just got to say, Rick, you'd have to be dumb. I'm sorry I'm saying this, but you'd have to be dumb to be in there. I have to admit, when I was in there, I knew nothing about the Bible. I knew nothing about nothing. I was born into this thing. But when I finally woke up, I was like, I didn't know nothing. I was stupid. And I'm just saying, just to stand outside and watch these people just go in there and, and celebrate and clap. And it's like, oh, yuck. Yeah, I don't know why it affected me so strong, but it does. Does it affect you the same way, Rick?
Yeah. In fact, I'll tell you, because I do the news here all the time, every week, I'm checking this stuff out, and it does get nauseating. It really, really does, because it brings back a lot of crummy memories. I never really enjoyed the meetings. I never did. I'm being honest. I couldn't enjoy them. I was glad to get out of there when it was over,
I'm the same, Rick. I don't think I ever read a Watchtower all the way through. I never read an Awake, ever. And it was such a burden. I mean, it was such a weight on me. And I look back now and I think, man, I'm free. I'm free from all that. I can think for myself. I can read what literature I want to read. I'm not, can you imagine, Rick, what it would be like right now to go back and they say, okay, brothers, it's time to go back to work. Can you imagine? Back to the field, ye sons of God. Can you imagine? I would feel so angry. I would be like, how dare you? You shut us down for a couple of years, year and a half, whatever it was. and then you get us back to the hall. You took our money when we were off. You begged for our money in the worst times of COVID, and then you selling off our halls. And now you get us comfortable at the hall, and you tell us we've been delivered. And now you put our asses back to work. It's like, shame on you, governing fucking body. Excuse my language, Rick. It just burns me up. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's very disturbing, Dan. It really is. I'm trying to figure this whole thing out, and I'm sure all of our audience that tries to figure the witnesses out, we scratch our head. How is it that they can just remain so loyal all the time? This is what bothers me. I've got 50 relatives that won't even say hello to me. How can they do that,
Yeah, there's nobody home. I got to tell you, I had a Pimo write me tonight from Dubai. And just out of the blue, he's under an alias name, but he says, I wanted you to know, Dan, that the work is banned here. He said, I'm a JW. I used to be an elder, and I want to fill you in how they're doing business here. And we couldn't make the connection with Dubai, but he was doing these voice texts with me. But he said he's going to contact me another time. But here's what he said. They are listening over there in groups to our presentations over here. And he said they are treasured. And I just wanted to bring that out, Rick. And what?
They're also not allowed to be in that country.
Oh, yeah, and the witnesses aren't allowed to be in that country. But Rick, people are listening. And I'm going to say one more thing. People are hungry. I told a guy the other day, some guy wrote me down in Florida. And he says, hey, Dan, are you really coming to Florida? And I said, yeah, I'm going to take a trip down there, see my daughter. And he goes, when you get here, we're going to have the biggest get-together. What do they call those meetings? Meetups. He goes, we're going to do a massive meetup. There's Pimos. There's everybody. We're going to have a dinner. You can stay at my B&B. And I'm like, you don't have to do all that. And he's like, no. But Rick, people, they're no longer staying silent. Everybody's coming together. Everybody's cheering us on. We're cheering them on. It's such a big thing. I don't think, Rick, we have any idea what all of our voices are doing. And like you always say, shame on you for just walking away. Shame on you for turning your back. Shame on you that you've had a voice, you've been abused, and you do nothing. Shame on you. Rick, these people are hungry. They want to get together. They want to talk. They want to heal. And we're all doing it, all of us all together. So thank you, Rick. This is amazing.
Well, that's what does it. That's what does it. Yeah, go ahead, Larry.
You know what? When I was watching the videos, that one, I guess he was an elder. What makes me sick is when they say Jehovah's people. Just because they're using that name, Jehovah's Witnesses, they're so self-assuming, so arrogant to say Jehovah's people as they're exclusively belong to Almighty God, and Almighty God exclusively belongs to them, and nobody else is God's people, only them. It's just so arrogant, self-assuming, and haughty, and it just irritates me.
Well, it's a form of irritation. It's, we're trying to be normal as people who left the Watchtower, but that's a thorn in your side when you encounter a witness. You know how they're being manipulated. You know how they're being led right down the wrong road, and you can talk to them till you're blue in the face. They look at you like you are a crazy person, but that's what they do. And I go with Dan. I go with Dan. People are waking up. I seen the demeanor at the memorial the other night when I was protesting. I seen that. I see the people that are writing me. I'm getting more emails, people writing to me, telling me that they have to kind of lay low because their wife or their husband's still a witness, but they're learning too, and they're going to leave. So this is all good. This is all good, folks. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead. Yes, Constance.
Yeah, Rick, you're touching on a lot of things, and it's always so great to hear from Dan and Larry and everybody. Rick, I'd like to just tap into one thing you said with regards to COVID. I've been watching this very, very closely. not so much from the mainstream media, but from the scientific physicians who are really on the cutting edge and really speaking the truth about the COVID. And, you have Dr. Peter McCullough, you have Dr. Simone Gould, you have Dr. Zelenko. I mean, these are people that are really, like I said before, Rick, on the show, sticking their necks out to be able to expose a lot of the lies from Fauci and others with regards to COVID. And in fact, this is just a side thought. At our church Sunday, the church I go to, I really like. It's on the cutting edge, Rick. I kid you not. And Dr. Zelenko is coming to our church. I'll have to look at the date, but he has stage 4 cancer, and he's very, very ill. And he's also an Orthodox Jew. And he said, you know what? I don't have anything to hide. I really don't. I really need to tell people how dangerous the COVID shots are and really what's in those shots. And I learned that he's the number one person that they want to kill, because he's like all of us, Rick. We're exposing Watchtower and the lies. Well, there's a lot of lies with regards to COVID. So anyway, I'm looking forward to going to that conference and to literally see him in person. It's not like just on the screen. He's literally coming to our church, which I think is pretty astounding. But the other thing, Rick, I wanted to say with regards to COVID, a lot of people have come down with myocarditis, which is inflammation of the heart because of the spike proteins. But a lot of people have come down with cancer as well. So you raised a question, Rick, and I thought the same thing. How many of the JWs are getting, critically ill, even to the point of dying, who have had the shot? Now, it's everybody's personal choice. I mean, that's wonderful. But Watchtower really, really pushed that. And yet, at the same time, they want everybody to show up, for the memorial. And those masks, Rick, those masks don't do anything unless you have an N95 mask, which is what they use in the hospital. So, it's amazing. Watchtower did it just so that they could have, cash fund, people coming back to the meeting and contributing. You have to see it for what it really is. And Christ isn't even in their picture with the black mask, Rick, So I'm like Dan and everybody else. I get tired of their self-righteousness. They're like the Pharisees. They're so arrogant and self-righteous. Rick, you can see right through their BS.
Well, you can. Well, very good comment. But, I'll tell you what, it was for money. Get them all meeting again. But also, it was like a trial balloon. The Watchtower organization, governing body specifically, what they're going to be looking for in that memorial, and I talked about this last week, the numbers have got to be 22 million. They've got to see 22 million plus. Now, I do see some figures that are being shot out at me. Some people are writing me saying, Rick, I think there's going to be 35 million at the memorial. I'm saying, I don't know about that much. I mean, they're going to cook the books anyways. I don't think I can believe everything Watchtower says. What's that? Yeah. Well,
no way they're going to have 20 million people at a single memorial. Do the math. You only have 80,000 Jehovah Witness Kingdom Halls in the world. Do the math.
Yeah. Well, David, that's what we're doing here. That's why I don't believe it. I don't. But I'm thinking what they've got.
You would have to have triple the time and 1 day to do that. Okay, you have 80,000 Kingdom Halls, which I know that's a fact. Okay, I've investigated the Watchtower for a long time, 30-some years on my own, and I got in a network of some other people, and I know they had 80,000 Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Halls. Now, if you do 80,000 divided by 21 or 22 million, it's somewhere in a neighborhood of, you have 5,000 people coming to a Kingdom Hall, and most of them are getting shut down.
All right, Dave. Listen.
Last year alone, there was 3,000 Kingdom Halls shut down around the world.
Yeah. Well, Dave, you're not your phone. You're not coming in that great, Dave. So, but thank you for commenting. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, this is Larry again. I heard everything that David said, and I agree with him. But they're also doing big conventions for the memorial. I was invited to one by I'll say brother, a Jehovah Witness. He came to my house and tried to get me to go. It wasn't at the Kingdom Hall. It was at some kind of center that they could get more than 200. I guess their expectation is get a lot of people. But here's also the problem I have. There was someone that on the internet saying that he went to this memorial, this Jehovah Witness memorial, just to see it, and he's been going for 20 years. And he says, I recommend everyone go to their memorial so you can see what it is. Well, that's a problem when they try to encourage people just to looky-loo. That puffs up the witnesses with pride. Oh, we had so many million attending. I would never be a part of them to add to the numbers, not ever again.
Well, amen to that, Larry. Amen to that. But people are asking, I'm saying the governing body's looking for at least 22 million. And that's the magic number. They got to at least crack 22 million, because I'm going to tell you, the Watchtower has been promulgating in really overemphasizing the fact that even during the Kingdom Hall shutdown for 2 years during COVID, that the congregations grew. Now, they had this guy Hendricks, or Robert Hendricks. He's an official with the Watchtower. He's been promulgating this to these local news stations and newspapers on how they grew during the COVID. So they got to get these numbers up. So they got to go, because the last memorial they had back in 2019, there was 21 million. So they got to at least beat that. They got to beat that. According to Hendricks, if it grew, the number's going to be bigger. But now I'm getting these reports coming in, and David, don't go ballistic. But yeah, people are telling me 35 million, 26 million. I mean, I don't see it. And if I do see those kind of numbers, I'm not going to believe it, because I know the Watchtower does not tell the truth. They have a war strategy. They actually have a doctrine where they can lie and get away with it. But they got to get some big numbers. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Now, the Kingdom Hall I went to last Friday, the Kingdom Hall I went to, they had the congregations meeting. The first congregation was a complete, nothing was going on. We felt like the Maytag repair, man. There was nothing, even a protest. There wasn't hardly any people there. But the second one, there was a lot more people. But what they're doing is, they shut 4 Kingdom Halls down in the area that I live in, and they sent them all to the hall I used to go to. So obviously the numbers are going to be more. So don't get overwhelmed if you see a bunch of Kingdom Halls with a lot of people. It means nothing, because they shut down and sold a bunch of halls off and sending the people to one central hall. That's their game plan. So don't get nervous. Don't think they're growing big time. Friends, cults have got to look like they're growing. If they're not, if they go backwards, they're in trouble. I believe they're going backwards. You're on JW World News. You got something to talk about? Go ahead. Come on, say hello to us. *6 if you're on our telephone line. All right.
I got one more thing to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is just a fact. Okay. We have 330 million people in the United States of America. Now, if their Watchtower is trying to say that they have just 20 million people, that was a eighth of how many people are in the United States. So it's a lot of baloney that they're shoving down everybody's throat right now.
Well, it is,
and
David.
then the other thing here is they were talking about they getting a shot. I haven't got that shot. I've been around hundreds of people that had COVID-19, and I never got shot. I never let my son get the shot. My wife got the shot. She has little problems here and there. Now, the other thing about it all is they said they had Bell palsy. Bell palsy is part of a stroke type thing where you have a blood clot or you have a bad bruise and blood clot goes up to your brain, and it'll affect your arm. It'll affect your left side. It'll affect your face. It'll affect certain parts of your body. It will affect your speech. That'll be all on your right side of your body.
Yeah.
And, that doctor was saying all this stuff is coming from shots. That Bell palsy is a natural thing that people get just because if they get really seriously bruised up, or they really seriously get a bad bruise to the bone.
All right, Dr. Wexel. We don't have to go that deep. That's good though. But thank you for filling us in. Thank you. All right. Let's move on. We got more stories to talk about here tonight. So let's keep the wheels of progress moving. How about Watchtower is putting the Awake magazine to sleep? Did you know that? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. There's only going to be one Awake in 2022, and there's only going to be one public edition of the Watchtower in 2022. And then what they're going to have is some older publications that they're going to have available if you want to give them to people in the service, I guess, whenever they're going to go back. But anyways, they're putting the Awake to sleep. When you stop and think about it, you guys can remember when we were witnesses, that was a major part of our ministry, right? Watchtower and Awake, they went together. But boy, the public Awake, they're doing away with that. I mean, what do you think? I mean, brother, maybe it's a cost thing. Maybe it's costing too much money. We remember Brother Lett. Remember him? Well, he's a governing body member. He's the one that makes the funny faces and expressions. Well, Brother Lett said not too long ago that the Watchtower is really got more money going out than coming in. So it looks like the celestial chariot is getting damaged here where they're doing away with all these Awake and Watchtower public editions. What would Brother Knorr say? What would Brother Knorr say? He's the one that made the Watchtower and Awake what they are today. He made it a large, in fact, probably the largest religious publishing company in the world. What would Brother Knorr say about cutting the Watchtower and Awake back? Now, I do remember one thing about Awake magazine. There's only one thing. I didn't read too many. Well, I did read the story about the Patagonian sweaters. Remember that one? I did read a little part of that. I'm only kidding. Those were the type of articles they used to have. But here's one thing that I do remember. I remember what they always used to say about the Awake. They said if you read the Awake magazines, you didn't need a college education. You didn't need a college education if you read the Awake magazines. And they said if you did that every week for 4 years, that was equivalent to a college education. Can you imagine that? Reading the Awake magazine is equivalent to a college education? That's the type of baloney that comes from the Watchtower. So we know the Watchtower is shifting anyways from a publishing company to a real estate conglomerate. Everybody knows that. You guys all know it. I'm preaching to the choir here. I know I'm saying a lot of things you know, but a lot of new people might be listening in. But they're making money in other ways. Printing magazines is expensive. The last time in 2015, my wife Susan and I, we went up to Wallkill where they print the magazines at the old farm. And there they had the printing presses rolling. And one of the things that they showed us is these giant rolls of paper and how the paper costs have gone up like $5,000 a roll. And they had, I'd say probably 50 rolls there. And they said it's costing a lot of money to do this. So they want you, as you well know, we've been talking about this for years too. The people are printing the Watchtower magazine off of the internet as well as other publications, brochures as well. So that's what's going on. So what do you think? Did you want to say something? I think, sister, you want to say something and your phone's unmuted. I think.
Okay, sorry.
Yep, your phone's unmuted. You want to mute it?
Good morning.
Okay, see if I can find the sister here. All right. All right. What it is, you see, well, I'm going to, it makes it hard when you're doing a live program. You got to mute your phone. You got to mute your phone. It's like a microphone, like I always say. Well, anyways, I'm going to play a song. As a matter of fact, I want to play a song. Let me see if I can. I'll get it up here so you can see it. This is one of the craziest songs ever in the Watchtower organization that I can ever remember. But let me see if I can't get it up. We can play it here, and you guys we can talk about this song. And let me see where I put it. Well, I don't know where I put it, but I can play it. I can play it so you can hear it here. Well, let's play the song. And because it's very appropriate that we do, because I don't know when the witness work is going to go back. The witness work is going to go back preaching door to door or using the carts. But here's something that, something has been abandoned because of COVID. Let's listen to the song. You guys tell me what you think.
Enjoy public witnessing in your territory using a literature display card? We have heard many good experiences from this form of the ministry. But in this next segment, a music video, find out what a day in service is like from the perspective of the cart. This is a big tune, which gives that little cart a big heart. This is entitled, If You Could See What I See.
This is the cart song. Remember this?
I'm just a cart made up of bits and pieces, a frame, a handle, and some wheels. But I'm a cart that helps to give a witness. What is that like? Let me tell you how it feels. If you could see what I see, if you could visit all the places that I go, if you could see the people there and get a glimpse of all the faces that I get to know, if you could hear what I hear when they see things they've never had a chance to see, that's when you'll see how it can be that forever they'll remember me. I've got wheels, I've got racks, I've got books, and I've got tracks. I take the kingdom message everywhere. When the crowds pass me by, I'm designed to catch their eye. Wherever people gather, count on me, 'cause I'll be there. If you could do.
Well, enough of that. Now, the reason why I play that up, well, that was back in around 2015. The cart song, you guys heard it. It's a witness song. It's very Disney-esque. Very Disney-esque. It sounds like a Disney song, doesn't it? Well, I have to tell you, of course, they haven't been using the carts. They abandoned the carts back in 2020 when the COVID hit. I don't see them wanting to bring the carts back anytime soon. But I wanted to just touch on it because that was very significant in their rebranding. Around that time, around 2014, late 2014, 2015, there was a high executive that worked for the Disney studios in California. And he was associated, he was a witness, and he was working with the powers to be at the Watchtower to kind of do some marketing from what we understand. And obviously that's one of the songs that they did to bring this new branding forth. Now, we all know the Watchtower rebranded, right? That's what companies do. When things aren't going that good, just change the name and everything will be all right. Well, that's what the Watchtower thought they were doing. So that song was instrumental in kind of getting people into this. Their songs have become very emotional. They really have. And some of their songs are good, I must say, but they took a lot of the old songs they had. And what they did is they changed the words in them and spiced it up a little bit. But So the governing body has actually banned the cart for now. Nobody's using the cart. So I wanted to bring that up tonight because I really thought that was going to be their next way of preaching. Even during COVID, I thought they'd be able to do that. You know, they could have put a mask on and went out and stood in the center of town somewhere, like I've seen them before, but they didn't even do that. That would have been okay, but they wouldn't even do that. So I don't know if these carts are going to ever be used again by the Jehovah's Witnesses, but I got thinking that today, and the cart witnessing. Yeah.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounded like Romper Room, or something. Can you imagine? And I got to say this. Now think about this, Rick. They want you to have a relationship with a cart, but they won't let you have a relationship with your pet. You can't have your pet. That's incestual. That's bad. You're going to have sex with your animal. You can't love your animal. They don't know what you're doing. That's mentally ill. But honestly, Rick, I'm listening. It's like you're having an emotional, they're trying to make this cart thing come alive. Wasn't that sick, Angela? We're just listening. We're like, oh my God, what person could sit in a Kingdom Hall and listen to a
I
song
thought it
like
was
that?
a parody of Matthew Broderick doing The Music Man, and I was hoping there'd be a Witness musical like the Mormon one.
Yeah, you know what's weird, Pixie? When Rick played that thing, I thought my head was going to pop. I did. I was like, are you kidding me? This is like insanity. Isn't it, Angela? Me and Angela looked at each other, and we almost shit. We were like, when did this song come out? And you're trying to bring this animated cart to life. It is like a Disney movie. And the cart began to talk, and everybody followed the cart, and the cart. I mean, it's totally hypocritical in the sense when
The
you can't have
demon-possessed cart? That's my real question.
Yeah, you can't have a relationship with your pets, but you can have a relationship with a cart. And Rick, I'm looking forward to you talking about those kids being baptized because I have something I want to say when you bring that up.
Oh yeah. Well, that's coming up next. It's a picture of the week. It's a picture of the week. Well, let me put it up. Let me put our picture of the week up so you can see it. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, you'll see it. But our picture of the week. Let's bring it up so you can see it. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to share my screen again, but that's okay. Let's just do that. Give me a couple of minutes here to do that. I know it's here. Oh, there is boy being baptized. Okay, so give me a second. I'm gonna share the screen here. So just give us a second to do that. And we'll get that up. Yeah, no, children being baptized. In this picture, I want you to see the picture. And then those I want to are seeing the picture, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, I want you to tell me how old you think this young boy is that's getting baptized. It's really something else. Let me get this right now. Sharing the screen. Let's go to Chrome, and we'll do that. Young people getting baptized. I mean, we were just talking about Norway earlier, right? And we were talking about how Norway doesn't let people make a promise. When you get baptized, even as a young person, you're making a promise to the Watchtower that you're going to always be a witness. That's what you do. So let's do this. Let's share the screen. And I think it's up there now. I think you can see it. Now, there it is. You tell me. There he is. Take a look at that young boy. How old does he look? He's a young boy.
He looks about 10 years old to me, and he'll grow about 5 inches, and he'll be a tall, slender young man when he's about 20, but he's at that awkward age, about 10 or 11.
Yeah, I would say right around there. I'd give him about 10 or 11, but that's way too young to get baptized. But they're doing it. They're still doing it. And maybe you guys knew people that were baptized when they're very young. Is that what you wanted to say, Dan? Did you know someone that got baptized young? Well, we'll get Dan on.
Well,
yeah.
Rick, it wasn't my thought, but I saw it on Facebook. I was, kind of scrolling through some things, and it was somebody else's thought. I don't know whose it was, but they said, will this boy be under the same authority as a person who's, like 17, gets baptized, and at 18, they says he wants out? Is this kid really making a decision that he's going to get the hell knocked out of him when he's old enough to start thinking and say, I don't think I want this. I think I want to do something else. to have made this boy is setting himself up to be abused and don't even know it. And I'm wondering, Rick, if this is the one thing that could be illegal to baptize them. And I'm not saying in other churches, because other churches don't knock the hell out of the teenagers when they. So if this kid goes through a rough time, think about this, Rick. He's baptized 7, 8, 10, 18. A lot happens in there. But to think, he has no idea what could happen to him. And I think this should be illegal. What happens at 15? If he says, I don't know if I want to go to the meetings. I don't know. Does he get put out of the house, Rick, at 15, 16? Is he under the harsh judgment of those damn elders and in the society? He doesn't know what he's doing. He has no idea. Somebody mentioned it, and I thought I never thought of that. I thought this kid is ready to be manhandled. In a couple of years, 15, 16, he wants to date, he does something. He's going to be treated like you and me that got baptized in our 20s or 30s, you know? Do you think that he's not aware of that, Rick? That boy ain't aware of that. So could this be illegal? Anyway, I'm just putting it out there.
Well, it's a good point. I never thought of that, but you know, he could, if he's 10 or 11 now and he does get to be 15, 16 and says, you know, Mom and Dad, I really don't want to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Kids that get out of their house at that early age, Dan. It's not unusual in the witness world for that to happen.
Sickening. That boy doesn't know what he's doing. I saw another one on Facebook, and a kid was getting baptized over the TV. And his dad was getting ready to carry him to the tub, but he was answering the questions. Rick, it doesn't look right. It looks demonic. A young boy, you know, that young, don't really know what they're doing. They don't really know what they've bitten into. They don't know what kind of obligations they're making. These boys, these children are making obligations to an authoritarian cult that will hurt them. And see, this is why they're banned in these other countries, because of this shunning. But I think it's so unfair for these boys. And I almost cried when I watched this boy standing in front of the TV with his dad kneeling down next to him, and they were on Zoom or Skype. I thought, how dare you snatch these young kids before they know what the hell they're committing to. They don't know what the hell they're committing to, going in there and knowing they're subjected to abuse, abandonment. They have no idea what they're doing, Rick. You imagine the father saying, now, if you ever leave, you're going to be abandoned. Just proud that he's in, proud that he signed on the dotted line, proud that he made his obligations. But that boy has no idea what he makes. There's been so many people, Rick, that have said, I wish I would have never got baptized. If I'd have known I was going to lose my family, those children don't know this, Rick. This is not good. This is a bad practice. And I think with what's going on in the rest of the world, that other people should chime in, that this boy is subject to a cultic activity, cultic abuse under strong hands, authoritarian hands, and he has no idea. That's what I wanted to say about it, Rick. What do you think?
Well, I think it's wonderful. I think that what you said is 100% correct. You didn't say one thing that was not correct. And that's why I was applauding the country of Norway earlier. This little boy, 10, 11 years old, is making a promise. Let's go with that term. A covenant, a promise. When you get baptized into the witness world, it's a lifelong commitment. It's just like marriage, really. It's even more stringent than marriage. You can't divorce yourself. Now,
Could we call it a sentence? Could we call it a sentence? Rick?
Yeah, I'd say yes. I'd call it a death sentence. Yeah, what's that's even up the ante a little bit. Yes, it's a death sentence.
Hello?
Yeah, we got a sister wants to say
Hello?
something. Go ahead, sister. Hello, is this Annie?
Hello, yes.
Hi, Annie. I recognize the voice from Montreal, Canada. Go ahead, Annie.
Okay, well, I couldn't call in earlier. I had a problem with my phone, but it seems to be okay now. Yes, with regard to baptism, it's total coercion, like everything else. And could call it a vow, I guess, certain vow. And I believe most kids, and that was the case with me, although I was older, they usually get baptized to please their parents and don't have a clue really as to what they're getting into. So, yeah, I think it's deplorable. And one other thing I'd just like to quickly mention, with regards to the memorial, apparently there was some person in one of the groups that mentioned that they had gone to the memorial and they locked the Kingdom Halls once everybody was inside, and then only opened them when it was over. And I find that very, I don't know, and you wondered if it was just local or if it was something that the Watchtower does all the time. And to me, it sounds very, very suspicious, and it sounds illegal. So I don't know, do you know anything about that?
No, I haven't. No, and I saw your little comment the other day. In fact, I'm glad you wrote me and told me that, Annie. Yeah. In fact, I'm just gonna. Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's becoming more of a practice. Ann wrote me earlier and asked me to ask that question. Sorry, I forgot, Ann. But what I was going to say is here in Caldwell, they're locked too. You got to buzz to get in. You got to buzz and buzz. The doors are locked. So I think the sister's right. This should be illegal because it should be a fire hazard too. You can't lock people in a building like that, but they're doing it.
Yeah, I think that Kim and Mikey had a video about that a while back. And they got in touch with their fire inspector, or I don't know what they're called, to ask about that. I think it's illegal. I think it could be dangerous even. So I just wondered about that, and somebody wanted to know if it was a regular thing or if this was just in their, where they live. So.
Well, what it is too, Annie. What it is too, Annie, is a lot of these.
I heard about it. Ask that fireman that was on. I think it's against the fire codes.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it really is, because something happened and there was a panic. Like any place, it could be dangerous.
Yeah, it's well, that might even happen at the hall I was at. Really, nobody was really coming outside. It could have happened right here in Massachusetts. With the protesters out there, they might wanted to keep the doors locked so nobody could go out and see what was going on. That's a possibility. So I don't know.
Or they're afraid of Kingdom Hall crashes or something.
Okay, right.
Like that.
I mean, right. And also another thing, I was on when I lived in Florida. I was they put me on security watching the Kingdom Hall because they had. We were told we had a few brothers that were on security watching the Kingdom Hall door. Two brothers sat by the door, and we to anyone that came in, we had to really scrutinize them and make sure we in fact, from what I remember, we locked the door too there, from what I remember. And if they knocked, we had to go outside and see who they were. And then we were told there was going to be an apostate. He had a wife that was a witness, and he did not like what the witnesses were doing to her. So they got wind that he was going to come by and cause some problems. So some Kingdom Halls are getting calls to that nature, Annie. So, but thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you very much.
Well, anyway, that's just really all I wanted to say. But I think they're, we already know they're very paranoid about just about anything, and they're getting worse.
All you have to do, Annie, is say jump, and they jump a mile. Thank you, Annie. Thank you very much. We got another sister. Go ahead, sister. Yep.
Hi, I'm in Florida, and I wanted to bring out about the court. We just left. My daughter and I were regular pioneers for a long time, and we just left 4 months ago. And before I left, they had given me a card, and we loved that song. Because we were regular pioneers, so we were really into it. So they gave me a card, and you, Rick, have encouraged me because I wrote, now I made a big sign. It says, warning, Jehovah's Witnesses hide child abuse. And I put the Child Abuse Royal Commission.gov.au on the bottom, and I made little cards that we're going to give out. we're going to use the cart and go to the river and do what they trained us to do.
Well, good for you. Well, that you got me excited. I like that. Thank you. That's I like that a lot. That's a good idea. Yeah, just go do what your training was and let people know that's a sham. Yeah, good.
Your signs did it for me. Thank you.
Well,
Hey, Rick. Hey,
yeah,
Rick.
yes, Dan.
I want to say this to that sister that just called.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. I am so impressed. Here's what I'm impressed with. These people coming out of there. Just a few months ago, she's a regular pioneer. How are these people coming out of there so clear? They're not afraid. They're courageous. See, something's happening, Rick. Something's happening.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The shot did it. The shot did it to me. When they told us we had to get it, that was it. And then I found out more, and that was it. I'm done. Yeah.
Oh, good
job.
for you.
Good job. I'm so proud. My God, Rick, I just want to say thank you. I'm getting off it.
This sister's sending. She's sending chills up my side here. You know, 4 months out and gonna go protest now. Good for her. Yes.
We'll let you know how it works.
Good. Well, good for you, sister.
Okay.
Good. Can I ask?
Thank
I
you.
lived in Florida. Whereabouts in Florida you live?
Vero Beach, on the East Coast.
Oh yeah, no, I know Vero really well, really well. My parents lived there. Now, right where it is. Yep. Well, thank you for calling in tonight, sister. You made my night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you're doing. You're encouraging us.
Well, thank you. That's great. Well, see you go. There you go, Dan. All these people coming out. All these people. Oh boy, I'll tell you, it's wonderful. Hey, Dan, if you want to hang in here.
It's wonderful. I love it, Rick. I just love it. When she said it made my night. Angela got goosebumps. You know, it's like, this is so exciting. This is so exciting. That lady was clear. She was sound in mind. She got out, she got grounded, and she got moving. This is mind-boggling.
And it's happening in real time. Happening in real time, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyways, Dan, I want you maybe in a few minutes, if you want to come in and hold the fort while I get Reese on, you and Ange, if you want to come in and speak for about 10, 15 minutes, that'd be fine if you can.
We can do it, Rick.
All right.
We can do it.
All right, good. So I'm going to just...
Hey, Dan, this is Chewy. Hey, Chewy, how you doing? Good. Hey, I was just going to say, all that good training we got at the theocratic ministry schools turned around and biting them in the butt, buddy. They got a good speakers. They got a bunch of good YouTubers. And thank you, Jehovah, for the theocratic ministry school for helping us out.
There you go. Well, I give you a gold star for that one, Chewy. Good job. Yeah, I just want to mention there'll be, I think, let me just mention a couple of things here. There is a 6-screen Sunday tomorrow. There we talk theological issues in the Watchtower tomorrow, beginning tomorrow at 1 o'clock, the Knowing God program. So you guys want to stay tuned for that. You come in tomorrow. So it'll be on YouTube as well. But we talk theological issues where the Watchtower's false teachings come into play. Tomorrow we have 2 Christian apologists coming on at 1 o'clock, Jody and Scott. And they have a program called Knowing God. And they'll be on tomorrow, and they're going to be talking about prayer and how you pray and the great prayers of the Bible they're going to be speaking about tomorrow. And then at 2 o'clock, this is a wonderful program. We have a great program at 2 o'clock tomorrow. It's called Ex-Jehovah's Witness Share Their Christian Testimonies. This show has taken off like a rocket, and many, many people are listening in every Sunday. We have a man named Augustine Astatio. He's a former Jehovah's Witness. Oh, he's an excellent man. He's going to be coming on tomorrow. He was involved deeply with the witnesses. He's going to give his testimony on how he became a real Christian. That's tomorrow at 2. Then 3 o'clock, we do JW World News Sunday edition. So join us tomorrow for that. And then Jay Hess at 4 o'clock. This man was associated with the writing department of the Watchtower. And he's going to be coming on tomorrow at 4 o'clock. He's going to answer all your Bible questions. So why don't you join us on Theological Day tomorrow, right here on the 6 Screens conference calls. Also tomorrow, well, that's enough for tomorrow. But I just want to say, listen, if you guys like what we're doing here, if you like what we're doing here tonight, by all means, subscribe to our YouTube channel and share us on Facebook and let the world know what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. So I'm going to cut you guys loose. Dan and Angel fill in for a while I get Reese. Now, Reese is coming up next. Now, let me tell you, Reese has got a big program tonight. Have you heard about these food processing centers? Over 20 of them burned. Now, that is mysterious. Why would 20 food processing plants burn in the last couple of months? Reese is going to be talking about that. Is somebody trying to starve us? I'm sure Reese has got some good things to say about this. And also, Reese is going to be talking about what's really going on in the Ukraine. So listen to Reese. I know some of the stuff he has is a little conspiratorial, but just listen to him. You don't have to agree with everything, but listen to Reese. He's an amazing man. He's coming on next right here on the 6 screens. Now, Dan and Andrew are going to come in shortly here, but I want to say this. The last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. Now, stay here on YouTube. We'll be back shortly when Reese will be on. But if you want to listen to the more programs, we have more programming tonight. We have Apostate Babe coming on at midnight tonight. She's out of California, Linda James. You want to listen to her program tonight. She keeps the oil burning here all night long. And if you can't sleep and you have nothing to do and you say, geez, I want to call the 6 screens, Linda's on. She'll be glad to talk to you. So we'll see you guys next week on JW World News. In the meantime, Dan and Angela are going to come in, and I'm going to end this broadcast. Thank you.